Robert Mailing here with the Sioux Empire Podcast. I'm sitting down here with Erin Srstka, who is running for Sioux Falls City Council, Northwest District. And Erin, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, and thank you for this opportunity to get my voice out there. As Robert said, my name is Erin Srstka. I am currently seeking the spot for the Northwest City Council District. I kind of go around and say I'm homegrown. I grew up here in Sioux Falls, graduated high school here in Sioux Falls, and did my undergraduate degree here in Sioux Falls. I moved away just to get my graduate degree. My husband moved back here with our 3 children to raise our family. My husband's a retired Marine, did 12 years active duty. We have 3 children. I have a freshman at Roosevelt High School, a 6th grader at Memorial, and a kindergartner at Pettigrew, and it keeps us busy and involved in the community. I'm very excited to come back as an adult to the district I grew up in to have the possibility of serving the community in this capacity.
Well, thank you, Erin. My first question is something that my listeners want to hear about is your stand on entertainment and recreational spending in the city of Sioux Falls. What's your policy on that?
Yeah, as you go around and you ask your friends and your family and folks that you meet, you're like, I'm ready. What do you want to know? And what do they talk about? They talk about roads and quality of life. So you talk about your entertainment, which is the recreation and culture part of the city budget. It's something that's very important to the folks of Sioux Falls. They want to make sure that their quality of life and the opportunities they have are maintained, and if not, improved. I think it's important that we keep our libraries funded. I think it's important that we keep bike trails going. I think it's important that we have an array of options for our quality of life and the recreation spending. I think that it's important that we listen to our voters and to our community to make sure that we're providing the array that they want. I think it's important to do surveys and public forums and listen. We had an event center. We had a public vote on that. That was a perfect opportunity for the public to put input on what we want to have for recreation and for quality of life in Sioux Falls. As a city council person, one of my main focuses is to listen to the voters, to what they want. What do you want for your quality of life? What do you want to be maintained? What do you want for recreation? And to make sure that we meet their needs.
Excellent. Kind of keeping on that topic with roads, what is your stand on and policy on infrastructure spending?
Roads, right? City government. What's the first thing you think of? Potholes. So what everyone's like, we gotta get those potholes fixed. And I agree 100%. Part of quality of life is infrastructure, right? Water, sewer, roads, making sure transportation is accessible to all. And my policy and my stance on that, again, is to listen to the community, is to learn from the staff and the experts, and then use logic and common sense to make decisions on infrastructure. We use roads every day. In fact, I think the latest statistic is 920 miles of roads in Sioux Falls. That's a lot of roads. If we stretch that out, we could take a vacation far away. So it's important that we keep the road quality where the people want it. And it's important, especially as we grow, that infrastructure is maintained, sustained, and improved upon, and it should stay salient throughout our council's decision-making as we do policy and budget management.
Okay, another thing that my listeners are asking about is fiscal responsibility. And in particular, something that's been coming up a lot with this one is the new city administration building that will be up for a vote here shortly. What is your stand on that building and the city spending in general?
The role of city council is twofold, right? So the city council votes on policy and votes on budget. So this is a perfect question, and this is perfectly in the realm of the council to move forward on. So as far as spending goes, we are spending the taxpayer dollars. So it's important that we do that responsibly and that we do it in a capacity and in a fashion that the public understands and knows where their money's going, and they're happy with that. My view on spending as we move forward, again, to listen to the voters, learn of best practices on different things, make sure it passes the common sense test, and be fiscally responsible with the money. As far as the administration building is concerned, I've been to city council meetings and I've talked to constituents, I've talked to different stakeholders in our community. It's a very interesting and dynamic conversation, right? So, this conversation goes, you said it in the context of fiscal responsibility, which is a very, very important lens. This is something that's fiscally responsible responsible to use the taxpayer dollars for? Is it something that's needed and that's necessary? When you talk to city staff and you look at the offices, they're cramped, they're in basements, and the city does need to expand. But what this conversation also moves into is cooperation and collaboration with the different governments within our community. Then, our 10-mile or metro service area, we have 7 school districts. We have Sioux Falls City Council, we have we have Harrisburg, there's Hartford, we have Lincoln County and Minnehaha County. And if you talk about the 4-county service area, there's another 2 counties. That's a lot of governments controlling one population of people. That's multiple tax funding streams being distributed. And what's important is that there's talk and collaboration between those multiple government streams to serve the taxpayers the right way. So when in context of this administration building or this new office space or new brick and mortar for government, it's important to make sure that we're serving the people in the right capacity. Is it the right thing to use it for office space? Is it the right thing to make sure, maybe reach out to the other governments, the county, Lincoln County, Minnehaha County, the state? Do we have it as kind of a hub for our taxpayers to go to do all of their business with? I think there's a lot of things, a lot of listening and learning to be done on that project. I think it's something, again, that's very interesting and dynamic, and there's pros and cons, but I think eventually the taxpayers, the folks I talk to, would like to see some of that collaboration. When you have collaboration and different people talking together, usually you end up with a better product and you have better efficiency with the use of the different tax-paying streams.
One other thing that my listeners would like to hear about: what is your policy on crime and public safety in South Dakota, in Sioux Falls?
Again, when you talk to folks, quality of life, roads, and when you look at moving to someplace or living someplace, you want to make sure it's safe. I have 3 kids. I'm raising my family here. I have other family that live here, friends that live here. Public safety is of the utmost importance to me. Some of the projects that I've worked on during my day job have been dealing with public safety and different initiatives. Public safety is important, and generally speaking, we live in a very safe city, and that is because of the hard work of our law enforcement officers and our elected officials to maintain laws and policies and opportunities to keep it safe, right? So we want to make sure that we sustain that and improve it and continue to support those budget items and those local policies that keeps our community safe. Now, with growth comes crime. 250,000 is kind of the sweet spot for a population where you see kind of that crime statistic uptick, right? So our Sioux Falls isn't quite there, but our metro service area is. So it's important that we keep that in mind as we see it kind of tick up. Statistically speaking, it's not a significant increase to make you feel unsafe. However, there are public safety needs in our community, and we need to make sure that we continue to meet them and what is ever needed to keep our community safe. Also tied to public safety, if you think of how do we prevent crime? How do we help our community stay safe? And we do that by providing safe and affordable housing for our community, providing programming and access to health and mental health. And if we really want to continue to have our community thrive, to make sure we have pathways for our citizens, all citizens, to get their education needs met, to get their housing needs met, to get their health needs met. And that's something that national research shows, helps control and respond to crime as well. So nothing operates in a vacuum. So when we look at public safety, it's very important that we continue to support the budget and the policy and the infrastructure that we have and the local law enforcement officers that we have. I just finished Citizens Police Academy, which is a program that's offered through the City of Sioux Falls Police Department. And it's a 10-week program. You go once a week for 3 hours, and you learn about all the different things that our Sioux Falls Police Department does, not just patrol. They have a lot of different special departments. They do a lot of community outreach. And through that, you learn a lot about what goes into public safety. So supporting programs like that is also a way to keep the public safe. It's not just a one-hit thing. It's important to collaborate, to work together as a community, support the law enforcement, support affordable housing, or support access to healthcare and mental health care, support quality of life that everyone can afford, right? When you look at kids of all socioeconomic backgrounds, you want to make sure that they can access our pools, indoor or outdoor, make sure they can access our park system and can access our bike bike trail system. And we have a lot of that in Sioux Falls. So again, when it comes to public safety, it's another one of those multifaceted issues, right? Where you want to make sure you work as a community to keep Sioux Falls safe, continue to support our law enforcement and the different aspects of quality of life.
Tell us a little bit about what got you passionate and made you want to be involved in public service.
Public service has always been at the heart of me ever since I was young. Growing up in high school, I remember my favorite class being government, sociology, right? All those fun classes, history, how did we get to where we are? During my undergraduate career, however, there's one story in particular that kind of put the nail in it, right? To give me the motivation to dive right into public service. And it was during my undergraduate career, I worked for the Sioux Falls School District in various roles. And one of them was working at a residential facility for kids. And you see kids, anyone that works with kids or in the school district, knows the story. You see the same kids cycle through and through and through. And there's just one girl in particular that I remember. And she was having a tough day. And I said, "Hey, Michelle, what's going on? What's wrong?" And she says, "Well, today at court, my mom gave me away." I said, "What?" And I talked to my boss and I said, "No, what's going on?" They're like, "Yeah, mom on her own took the initiative to terminate rights. It wasn't a court or a state initiative thing." So we helped her work through that as best as you can with the 10-year-old. But a couple weeks later, she was in a better mood and they had found an adoptive family. She was talking about how she's going to meet grandparents and they have holidays. And she was very excited to have a family. So we got her prepped for that, and she was on her way, and we were very excited. Another few weeks later, she's back. And I said, "Michelle, what's going on?" And she's like, "They didn't want me." So I talked to one of my supervisors, and I said, "Why is this like baffled? Do you have this in my early 20s?" And they said, "That's just the way the system is." And I know. And they said, "I know, it's tough, but that's just the way it is." And for me, that wasn't a good enough answer. At that moment, I knew I was going to go to graduate school. And I was thinking the logic was that if I had the right letters behind my name, they would have to listen to me when it comes to policy. So I thought gaining, a graduate level education would provide me with the skill set to make the change to serve the community better, especially when it comes to adults. We're supposed to be, the educated, mature people that help run our society, and the system is made up of people, is made up of adults. So that's a story of why I decided that public service and policy work is of the utmost importance to me as an individual in my day job and what I teach my children, what I choose to spend my time in, my spare time, is to be involved in the community in that capacity. So I want to make sure through my experiences there and during graduate school, I want to make sure everybody is served, that everyone has access to the same things that I did growing up, to whether that's education. Some folks just want a 2-month certification in welding and they make a great living all the way up to, an 8-year doctoral career or, specialized in medical, and the gamut. I want to make sure everyone has access to that, and like I've said before, access to the healthcare. And I want to make sure that as a city council person, at least in our local government and our local policies, allows the pathways and is open for all the citizens to have access to that kind of stuff and to be part of the government process, to have a voice, because really that's what we're here to do, is to serve our community and serve our public. So as an elected official, I hope to be a good listener and learn and take action based on what I listen and learn from the community.
One last thing. Do you have any websites or social media that anyone should be aware of where they can learn more about you?
Yes, I do. I have a Facebook page. It is facebook.com/Erin Srstka SF. I have a website, erinsrska.com, and my email is erin@erinsrska.com.
Alrighty. Well, thank you very much for coming today.
Thank you again, Robert, for this opportunity. It was a lot of fun.